The Sinister Virgin of Coyoacán, 7 haunted tales revealed from a terrifying past. Maria's heart raced as she pulled her jacket tight, the night chilling her bones. The flickering lights of the diner cast eerie shadows on the cracked pavement outside, where whispers of something sinister lingered. Coyoacán had seen better days. The decay of the city seeped into the very foundation of her home. Tonight felt different. It felt alive. As she shuffled toward her old sedan, the wind howled, and she heard a faint, mocking laugh wafting through the air. Was it just the wind? She glanced into the distance where eyes glimmered like tiny sparks, peering from the darkened corners of her neighborhood. They watched, waiting. She hurried inside, locking the door behind her, feeling the familiar tingle of paranoia creep up her spine. Late nights at the diner drew her in for the paycheck but left her grappling with nightmares. Flickering streetlights and whispers melded into a suffocating blanket every time she closed her eyes. But Maria would protect her children Sofia and little Javier. Every night she fought the dread gnawing at her. She had to be strong, but then came the first oddity, a shadow slipping past her living room window, just out of sight. Her hand trembled as she tightened her grip on the hallway railing, forcing herself to breathe. Shadows can't hurt you, she told herself. But why did it feel like someone or something was watching? Sofia awoke screaming nights on end, terrified of a woman in black standing by her bed. The first few nights Maria dismissed it as bad dreams. But the urgency in her daughter's voice dawned serious then. "Mommy, she is coming for us." One evening, while Maria dried the dishes, she overheard an unsettling conversation through thin walls. Mrs. Green, her neighbor, was mumbling about the Sinister Virgin again, her words dripping with twisted fascination. For weeks, the mention sent chills through Maria, jagged like fingernails scraping glass, a name that spiraled into whispered lore about the neighborhood. Little did she know, the truth lurking behind the benign pastel facade of her neighbor was more monstrous than the whispers she half-believed. As the city slumbered, glass shattered into oblivion one night, waking her from a fog of exhaustion. The rhythm of footsteps pressed closer to her children's room, each thought a countdown to dread. She bolted to the door, terror wrapping around her like a vice. Outside, the streetlight flickered, the murmurs of the park gathering odd locals felt like a conspiracy just beyond her grasp. They stared in silence, eyes empty as they waited, mocking her very existence. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Strangely etched symbols adorned her porch one morning, marks of dark intention. She felt desperation beam hotter than the flickering lights as she peered into every stranger's eyes, searching for answers. The truth crowded in, shadowing her every thought. When the local children began speaking in hushed tones, whispering tales of the Virgin's demands, a cold twist of fear gripped Maria. She couldn't ignore the chilling connection. As she braced herself against the door before bursting into the shadows, the sound of glass shattered through the silence once more. The air grew thick, suffocating her with dread. She painted her resolve in front of the door, every heartbeat a reminder of the innocence she was sworn to protect. The darkness clawed at her resolve. Could she uncover the truth of the Sinister Virgin before it consumed her family, or was it already too late? Each moment twisted into a promise of unanswered questions, of reckoning. This was just the beginning. The air crackled with tension as Maria's breath quickened. She forced herself to move, stepping into the living room, heart pounding against her chest like a caged animal. The remnants of shattered glass littered the floor, reflecting the flickering lamplight like eerie shards of a broken mirror. Her mind raced as she scanned the room for any sign of an intruder, but it was the oppressive silence that felt most menacing. "Javier? Sofia?" she called, her voice hoarse. A pit opened in her stomach when there was no response. Fear twisted her insides as she sprinted toward their rooms. Each step felt heavy, bolstered by a growing dread, the sense that something unspeakable lurked just out of sight. The children's bedroom door stood ajar, yawning wide like a void. She hesitated for a breath-stopping second before pushing it open, the creak echoing in the thick hush. The room was shrouded in dimness, toys scattered across the floor, testimony of their innocence which felt painfully fragile now. "Mommy?" Sophia's small voice broke the silence, a tiny beacon of light. She sat up in bed, her hair wild and eyes wide, tears glimmering like liquid pearls. "The lady is here. She is trying to take me." Maria's heart dropped as she lunged forward, wrapping her arms around her daughter. "What do you mean, sweetheart?" She fought to keep her voice steady. "Where is she?" Sophia pointed toward the corner of the room. A dark figure lingered beyond the shadows, barely perceptible but undeniably present. Maria's breath hitched in her throat as her instincts screamed for her to flee. She dug her nails into Sophia's shoulder, not wanting to look but unable to look away. Suddenly, a gust of wind swept through the room, extinguishing the small lamp. Darkness flooded in, wrapping around them like a suffocating blanket. Maria felt a chill race down her spine, each hair standing on end. "Stay close to me," she whispered fiercely, her protective instincts igniting. Just then, a low, melodic voice curled around her. "You are not meant to protect them, Maria," it whispered, slithering through her defenses. "You are meant to sacrifice." Fear ignited into raw desperation as Maria clutched Sophia tighter. "No! You stay away from my children." Her heart thudded in her chest, echoing like war drums. The candlelight flickered back briefly, revealing the figure in full, a woman dressed in a tattered black gown, her face obscured by a veil that dripped shadows like ink on a canvas. The woman raised a hand, her fingers long and bony. With a movement as silky as fog, she beckoned slowly, an invitation laced with malice. "Join us," she chimed, voice a chilling harmony that sent shivers spiraling down Maria's spine. "You can't fight what is destined." In a surge of adrenaline, Maria snatched Javier from his crib, holding both children tightly against her. "We need to leave. Now!" she shouted, storming toward the door, but the shadows thickened, blocking her escape like a malevolent force. The walls seemed to close in, a vibrating pulse echoing her desperate thoughts. Was this what Mrs. Green spoke of? Had the Virgin come to take her children? Panic spread like a disease, enveloping all reason. Without warning, the door slammed shut, trapping them inside. The air turned electric with a fear so dense it felt tangible. Maria banged against it, terror clawing at her throat as the whisper spun faster, now crashing around her like a relentless storm. "Only then will you be free." With a final, primal scream, she pushed against the door, her body a vessel of raw desperation and frantic heartbeats. As she reared back to shove it open, a soft giggle broke through, flooding the room with icy dread. And in that moment, time stood still. What awaited just beyond that door? The shadow whispered promises, the children whimpered for their mother. Would the Sinister Virgin claim them all, or could Maria break the chains of this haunted past? The night stretched endlessly before her, marking the beginning of a fight she had not anticipated. The shadows coiled tightly around Maria, thickening with every heartbeat. Every whisper from the dark figure in the corner was a creeping poison, threatening to suffocate her resolve. She felt a surge of adrenaline, but it coursed through her veins weakly, stunted by a paralyzing fear. The oppressive darkness swallowed her, wrapping around her like gnarled tree roots gripping soil. "Mommy!" Sophia's voice pierced the enclosure, desperation thrumming in the little girl's tone. She burrowed closer against Maria, her small body trembling. Javier, oblivious yet alert, cried softly in his mother's grip, sensing the terror in the air. The weight of their fear pressed down on Maria. She needed to act. The eerie woman still stood at the corner, her presence pulsating like a heartbeat, inviting, cruel. "You cannot shield them, Maria. They belong to me now." The musical quality of her voice was disarming, curling around Maria's defenses like smoke, seductive and suffocating. "No!" Maria screamed, sharper than a knife's edge, fueled by a primal instinct. She needed to show them her strength. Using every ounce of her courage, she shifted her stance, facing the darkness head-on. "Get away from my children!" But the shadows responded, swirling faster, thickening into solid shapes. Black tendrils snaked toward them, creeping closer with each moment, leaving icy traces against Maria's skin. "Accept it," the voice cooed. "Join us." Embrace the night. Rage erupted within her, a wildfire growing fierce in the pit of her stomach. She could sense the spirit's hunger, craving her submission, her despair.
Would she allow that shadow to consume her?
A flicker of memory flashed through her mind. Mrs. Green's warnings lingered in the back of her head, words that echoed in the void left by her forgotten past.
The sacrifices, whispered legends, buried deep under layers of history and pain. But Maria wouldn't let them take her children. Javier, Sofia, hold on to me,
she shouted, clutching her children tighter, her pulse roaring in her ears.
The loud pounding of her heart pushed her into action.
She turned her back against the ominous figure and barreled towards the door, ready to break through whatever barrier held her captive. But as she charged, the tendrils lashed out, wrapping themselves around her ankles, a cold grip dragging her down, threatening to pull her into the abyss. She stumbled, falling heavily against the door. With a desperate cry, she pushed against the surface, feeling it yield slightly under her force.
"Let us out!"
she screamed, unable to contain the pitch of terror that climbed into the air. The shadows hissed, a mass of voices swirling amidst the chaos, mocking her pleas.
"You cannot escape."
Just as despair threatened to wash over her, a moment of clarity struck. Maria steadied her breath and thought fiercely of the love she had for her children, their laughter, their hopes, their dreams. Using that love as fuel, she pushed once more against the door, feeling it tremble under her strength. The shadows moaned, sensing the shift in her resolve. "You'll regret this, Maria." The door burst open with a crash, spilling light and air into the suffocating darkness. Maria stumbled forward, the children clutched tightly to her chest. They emerged into the hallway, but her relief was short-lived. The shadowy woman stepped into the light, an insatiable hunger glinting within her obscured eyes.
"You cannot run forever." As Maria's heart raced, she looked down the dim corridor ahead.
Dread crawled up her spine as she realized there was only one way left to go, deeper into the house, into its heart where the truth lay waiting. The night had only just begun, and so had their battle against the terror that hunted them.
What other horrors awaited them in this cursed sanctuary?
Would they find safety, or would they plunge deeper into the darkness? The answer whispered through the air, enticing yet sinister, as Maria stepped forward, determination blazing despite her fear. The air in the hallway felt electric, thick with uncertainty. Maria took a shuddering breath, the light illuminating the path ahead like a beleaguered halo, but the shadows behind her stretched like grasping fingers. She steeled herself, her heartbeat thrumming loud enough to drown out the distant whispers of the shadowy woman. Sofia gripped her hand tightly, her small fingers trembling.
Javier's whimper echoed softly, a sound so raw Maria felt her heart break. She couldn't afford to look back. Not now. Not ever again.
"Stay close, my loves," Maria murmured, though the quaver in her voice betrayed her. She forced herself to walk quicker, the carpet beneath her feet feeling like a trap, as if it might pull her under at any moment. The corridor twisted, each turn revealing more darkness, more uncertainty.
Shadows writhed along the walls, twisting into grotesque shapes and flickering as if alive.
A rustle behind her sent her body tensing. She couldn't look back.
"Mommy, I don't want to go deeper," Sofia whispered, her voice barely above a trembling breath. A chill raced through Maria.
She turned her head just enough to see a sliver of essence forming behind them, a distortion, a glimpse of the shadow woman prowling closer.
"We have to," Maria replied, swallowing the fear clawing at her throat.
Each step felt heavier,
as though the house itself pushed back, trying to anchor them down. "I promise I won't let anything happen to you."
But deep down, a visceral anxiety screamed that promises meant nothing in the grip of creeping despair. They turned another corner, and a door loomed ahead, aged and warped.
A faint light trickled beneath it, strange and inviting. Maybe we can hide in there?"
Javier suggested, peering up at his mother with wide, frightened eyes. "It's a chance," Maria decided, her voice steely but broken. She rushed to the door, pushing it open with a grunt. Inside, they were met with an odd sanctuary, an old sitting room filled with dusty furniture draped in white sheets.
Vague shapes loomed under the fabric, like ghosts waiting for their descent.
The air was stale, carrying hints of long-forgotten laughter and sorrow. "Something feels wrong," Sofia whispered, glancing around nervously. The hairs on the back of Maria's neck stood on end, sensing they were not alone. As they ventured further in, the door creaked ominously behind them.
"Close it. Quick!" Maria hissed, jamming it shut.
The sudden thud echoed through the room, reverberating like a warning bell.
"Mom!" Javier's shout sent a shiver down her spine. She turned.
Looming from the corner, shadowy eyes gleamed with more than just malice. They pulsed a chaotic rhythm that twisted around her senses, suffocating and hypnotizing. The shadow woman whispered through the crack of the door, her voice lacing through the air.
You cannot hide from me, Maria. You will always be found. You must understand that you have given your children to the night. No.
Maria snapped, jolting back as fear surged through her veins like ice.
They're mine. With each desperate heartbeat, she felt the room tighten around them, closing in.
The rhythm of the wall throbbed like a heartbeat, each pulse emphasizing the relentless whispers that flooded her mind.
Panic erupted. Would this place be their tomb, or could they turn back the tide?
Could she reclaim her children from the clutches of a dark eternity? A sudden flicker caught her eye, a small chest beside an oversized chair, knotted with age. We need to check if there is something useful, Maria urged, praying for a weapon or a hidden escape route. As she approached, the darkness seemed to coalesce, swirling around the chest, blocking her way forward. Maria reached out, heart pounding, ready to unleash her fury against whatever awaited on the other side. Just then, a loud bang resonated through the room. The door had swung open, the shadowy woman's silhouette cutting through the doorway, a smile stretching across her ethereal face. Here you are, my darlings. Fear coiled in Maria's stomach as she realized they might be trapped, cornered like animals.
What was the price of escape?
With the crack of reality splitting more than just the evening air, Maria was about to find out exactly what it meant to confront her deepest horrors head-on.
Was there a way out, or would she have to make a sacrifice she wasn't prepared for? The next revelation lurked closer, ready to unleash more terror and demand their faith. What were the shadows willing to take from her next?
The shadows thickened as the woman stepped fully into the room, her form twisting like smoke, evading solid definition. Maria felt the weight of dread pressing down on her. She clutched Javier and Sofia to her, heart racing, frozen by the woman's unnerving gaze. "Mommy," Javier whimpered, his little hands gripping her tighter. Maria could see the dim light reflecting in his eyes, mirroring her own terror.
What does she want?
I don't know, Maria breathed, desperation lacing her voice. The shadow woman's smile widened, revealing a darkness that seemed to consume the very light around her.
You know very well what I seek, Maria. Your children, they belong with me now. This is only the beginning.
Her voice was melodic, yet laced with a haunting echo that made Maria's stomach churn.
Get away from us!
Maria shouted, her voice cracking. Somehow, she mustered the courage to push her children behind her, a futile barrier in the face of specter-like evil.
The room pulsed, vibrations echoing as shadows danced along the walls, mocking their resolve. Let us leave. Now!
Maria turned, desperate to find another way out, but the moment she pivoted, the shadows twisted, closing in from the corners as if obeying the woman's command. The walls felt alive, pressing in, emanating waves of fear that pulled at her sanity. Look, Sofia whispered, pointing to the chest in the corner, light spilling from its slightly ajar lid.
It's glowing. Don't look. Maria snapped, but the pull of curiosity was too strong.
Against her better judgment, she glanced back. There was something about that light, warm and inviting amidst the oppressive darkness. If only she could somehow pry it open. Such desperation, the shadow woman crooned, her voice wrapping around them, congealing in the air.
You think you can fight me with hope? How quaint.
Maria's resolve faltered, each breath felt heavy as she locked eyes with Sofia.
If only she could shield them, hide them from the inevitable.
She found herself drawn to the chest, the light shimmering brighter as if coaxing her closer.
Mom!
Javier tugged at her.
We can't just stand here. I have to see.
Maria murmured, moving against her own will. The whispers in the air grew louder, a cacophony urging her forward. With trembling hands, she leaned toward the chest, the glowing light painting her face in eerie hues.
Once you open that, you'll invite its magic.
But it comes at a price, the shadow woman crooned, reveling in Maria's torment.
Are you willing to pay it? What magic?
Maria's voice quivered, a part of her already understanding the terrible choice ahead. The magic to spare your children or perhaps give them to me willingly.
You can choose, Maria. Sacrifice your bonds, or doom us all.
Fear clawed at her insides, but determination surged. No, she insisted, voice low yet fierce.
I won't give up my children.
The darkness rippled violently, and it looked like the shadows convulsed as if struck. The woman laughed, a bone-chilling sound that echoed like a cracking whip.
Oh, but you already have.
Every step you take leads you deeper into my realm.
Suddenly, a loud crack sounds through the air, splintering the suffocating silence.
One of the sheets draped over the furniture billowed out like a ghost, revealing a horrific face. Maria recoiled, drawing her children close. The air grew thick with anguish, swirling around them, weaving despair. Choose wisely, my dear, the shadow woman taunted, her grin a twisted promise. What will you sacrifice? In that moment, a crack formed, a glimpse of the outside world flooding the room, the sparks of daylight flickering against the grasping shadows. Maria looked at her children, eyes wide with shared terror. There had to be a way out, the chest thrummed with energy against her palm, tempting.
Could this be the salvation she needed?
Or had it entwined them deeper within this nightmare? A flicker of panic shot through her.
If she opened the chest, what wretched force would she unleash? As chaos erupted around them, Maria's heart pounded and she felt the world tilt. What darkness would she invoke? What truth lay waiting?
But the pressing shadows closed in, the threshold of choice teetering on dismal edges. Each gasp threatened to shatter the fleeting glimmer of hope.
Would Maria find the answer amidst the chaos? Or would she succumb to the darkness once and for all?
Ignoring the tumult around her, Maria's eyes remained locked on the chest.
The glow pulsed, a heartbeat that synchronized with her racing pulse.
She felt it, the magnetic pull, a seduction laced with dread. The shadow woman's laughter echoed, mingled with whispers that curled and slithered like smoke around her.
Mommy Javier's voice pierced through the noise, shaky and scared. Please, don't go near it.
Maria shook her head, heart struggling against the weight of fear and the desire to protect. Stay back, she urged them. Yet, her body betrayed her, every instinct beckoned her to move closer. It was the darkness within her that knew not just fear but desperation.
Remember the stories, Sophia murmured, trembling. Stories about the chest, about the woman. She'll take us. Don't listen to her.
Maria snapped, anger sparking amidst her fear.
This is our home. You can't have my children. Home?
The shadow woman sneered, advancing, shadows swirling around her like a mist.
You think safety lies behind those walls while evil grips your heart? You want to protect your children? Then open the chest. Only then can you save them.
The walls around them shimmered like a veil pulled tight. The air thickened, drawing everything closer to the chest, inviting and threatening in the same breath. With her heart racing painfully, Maria raised a hand toward the lid. It was as if it had become a portal, opening not to light, but to endless despair.
No!
Javier screamed, pulling away from her grip, eyes wide with horror. But it was too late. The air rasped as she hesitated, smoldering with tension. The shadow woman extended a hand, dark fingers curling around Maria's wrist. Her grip was cold, laden with icy dread.
Embrace it, Maria. Free your children from the torment of this world. Let me take them.
A flicker of fire ignited in her, a defiance she thought extinguished.
No!
She yelled, voice echoing back at her.
I'll never let you take them.
With one swift, desperate motion, she yanked her arm free, stepping backward, pushing Javier and Sophia behind her. The twisted face in the sheet was replaced, another ghastly visage taking its place, with hollow eyes that seemed to suck the light from the room.
A chorus of moans rose, an unholy anthem that clawed at the edges of sanity. You can't escape.
The shadow woman shrieked, and the shadows lunged forward, binding Maria's feet to the floor.
You deny me now, but all will bend to my will.
Maria's heart thundered, pain shooting through her limbs, but she would not break.
Together!
She shouted, urging her children to join her.
Take my hand.
She grabbed Javier's and Sophia's, feeling them squeeze tight the moment they connected. A surge of force blasted through them, defiance sparking like a wildfire battling the dark.
Shadows twisted violently, howling as if the light within them burned.
Foolish mother! Your light means nothing here! The woman shrieked, the shadows pulsating in fury, forcing her back as the chest throbbed wildly, almost begging to be opened.
A fleeting moment of clarity washed over Maria.
She realized the truth wrapped in the woman Estance's bond with her children was their greatest defense. They had to fight together, to break through the fear that clouded their minds. Then, out of the chaos, voices arose, whispers, screams, and laughter that filled the room like a concert of madness.
Open it!
The chest seemed to plead. Trade your love for safety. The room shook, and with it, Maria felt cracks of reality splintering. She glanced to the window, sunlight breaking through the encroaching darkness.
A fleeting chance. Now!
She shouted, desperation igniting her voice. She pulled her children toward the light, the chest screaming behind them, shadows writhing like scorned serpents, battling against the flickering hope. As the dark tightened around them, she propelled them forward, right toward the welcoming glow of the outside world.
Is this real?
Sophia's voice trembled.
Trust me. Maria gasped.
But in one last, desperate act, the shadow woman roared, "You'll regret this, Maria.
I hold the keys to
your souls."
The room vibrated violently, shadows clawing at them, wanting to pull them back into the dark.
In the chaos, Maria ran, feeling the sting of breathless hope and despair collide.
Would they make it? Could the light save them, or would they be snatched back into the shadows?
With every desperate step toward the light, Maria felt the world around her teeter on the brink of madness.
The answer lay just ahead, but they weren't free yet. What happened to the bond?
The shadow woman mocked, her laughter trailing behind like a curse. As they neared the threshold, Maria's heart hammered, and the darkness closed in tighter, shadows swirling with a vicious hunger.
What sacrifice lay ahead? And would they ever truly escape the woman's grip?
As they reached the light, another crack resonated as shadows screamed.
And suddenly, darkness surged like a tidal wave, threatening to engulf them all. Did Maria have the strength to face the final moment, or had she led her children into a deeper nightmare?
The light flickered, almost mocking, as the shadows closed in like a wild, raging storm. Maria felt her feet leave the ground as the dark surged, a pounding wave crashing against her resolve.
Hold on!
She screamed, the words barely escaping her lips as she lifted her children. They spun, disoriented, the world around them twisting in grotesque spirals. The shadows writhed and twisted, angry serpents gnashing at their heels. Just moments before, they had fought against the darkness. Now, with the shadows crashing down, Maria's heart raced, each beat a countdown to despair. Clutching her children, she felt the chill of the dark creeping closer, wrapping around their legs like tendrils searching for flesh.
We're going to make it!
She yelled, though doubt nodded her.
We just need to reach the light. But the shadow woman's laughter echoed, curling through the air like a venomous mist. You think you can outrun me? You're tethered to this darkness. Your fear feeds my strength.
The shadows pulsed with life, dragging them backward, their cold tendrils feathering over Maria's skin, gnawing at her will.
The light blinked like a dying star, flickering in and out of focus.
Sophia and Javier shrieked, panic mounting in their voices as the light dimmed.
Fight it!
Maria shouted, every muscle straining against the pull of the dark.
But how? What was real anymore?
Suddenly, Javier's small voice broke through their frantic chaos, clear and unwavering.
Mommy, we have to think. What if we remember the stories? Remember the bond? Sophia chimed in, clutching her brother's arm as if it alone could stave off the encroaching doom. Right. Maria gasped, hope igniting. The connection between them, their love, their shared laughter could pull them through. Sophia, think of that time we made the cookies. Remember how we laughed, how everything felt right in that moment? Yes.
Sophia cried, her eyes widening with determination.
It was perfect. Javier, the dance parties in the living room. We were silly and free.
Maria pressed on, heart racing.
Can you feel that joy with us right now? All at once, a flicker of warmth pierced the darkness.
The children nodded, the fear in their eyes replaced with resolve. The bond they shared surged, growing stronger. Shadows writhed, hissing like angry spirits, but the glow of their memories intertwined with the darkness, forming a protective shield around them. Together, they clenched hands tighter, drawing strength from their connection. "We refuse to let go," Maria affirmed, her voice rising above the chaos. "We are light. We are family." The Shadow Woman screeched, a frantic noise that clawed at the edges of their sanity. "You think this will protect you?" The shadows recoiled, as if the warmth was acid. Maria and her children focused harder, their shared laughter reverberating against the darkness. Light poured through them, illuminating the shadows with hues of gold and crimson as they began to break apart. The darkness shrieked, its grip loosening, yet, just as the light seemed to swell, the woman lunged towards them, teeth bared in a grimace that twisted into a smile. "You may resist for now, but you cannot hide from the truth. Your souls are mine." With one final push, Maria screamed, "We believe in each other." The warmth exploded from them, a blinding light that washed over the room like a tidal wave. The shadows shattered, erupting into a cloud of smoke and screams, the woman's shriek piercing through everything until it suddenly fell silent. But as the brightness faded, leaving them gasping, reality hesitated, trembling at the edges of their world. They were safe? But as Maria turned to embrace her children, the room trembled once more. The walls began to shift, the shadows returning, swirling above them like a storm ready to strike again. "What now?" Sophia whispered, eyes wide with fear. The pulse beneath their feet vibrated with an unsettling rhythm, a monstrous heartbeat echoing as if the house itself was alive. "No," Javier whispered, trembling. "It wasn't enough. It can't be over." Maria's heart sank. If this was not the end, then what was awaiting them in the darkness? The shadows coalesced, whispering secrets of despair as hands began to stretch out from the darkness, fingers curling toward them with a sickening slowness. "I won't let it take us," Maria vowed, heart pounding with dread. But would that be enough to confront the evil that lingered? Could they withstand the fury of the Shadow Woman who had now returned with a vengeance? The answer lay hidden in the creeping darkness as it spilled forth, and once again, the fight for their souls would begin anew. The air thickened, a suffocating veil of dread clutching at Maria's throat. Every instinct screamed at her to flee, but the weight of the darkness kept her rooted to the spot. The hairs on the back of her neck stood up as the shadows shifted, forming twisted figures that loomed around them, hungry for their fear. "Stay close," she urged, pulling Sophia and Javier tighter against her. Tiny fingers gripped her hand with a silent prayer of desperation. From the depths of the blackness, the Shadow Woman's laughter slithered through the room, slick and cruel. "You think love will save you? Love is merely another bond one can exploit." A ripple of revulsion coursed through Maria. She wouldn't let this creature steal their joy. "It's not just love," she countered, voice shaking. "It's our memories. It's who we are. We are stronger together." With those words, she smiled at her children, determination kindling in her heart. "Think of everything we've faced. The fun times, the struggles, the laughs. They're part of us." Sophia's eyes blazed like two fierce stars breaking through the clouds. "Remember the time we went to the park? When we ran through the grass, and Mommy chased us?" The panic began to fade, each memory a thread weaving anew into their protective shield. "Yeah," Javier chimed in. "And the times we read stories together, all huddled under the blankets. The monsters were never as scary with you." The darkness writhed around them like a living beast. Driven by their memories, a faint light began to radiate from the trio. They watched as shadows shrieked, recoiling from the warmth. The oppressive mass of darkness ebbed, but the Shadow Woman's fury only intensified. "You cannot escape your fate," she hissed, her figure nearly solidifying as darkness blurred into form. Her face twisted into a contorted parody of beauty, eyes like bottomless voids. "You think you can withstand me? You are just one tiny flicker amidst a storm." "No!" Maria shouted, defiance lending her strength. "We'll never back down. We are stronger than you think." The room trembled violently. It felt alive, wrapping itself around them like a noose. From the corners, more hands reached out, stretching and clawing, the shadows morphing into nightmarish faces, each mouth curling into a silent scream. This time, fear clawed at Javier's heart.
"Mommy, what do we do?" Panic flooded his voice, a wave threatening to drown them. Maria could feel her breath quickening, nail-biting urgency grasping her chest. "We fight. Together. Remember the bond."
Together, the children echoed, their voices small yet brave. As the darkness surged forward, she thought back to every grateful moment with them, every bedtime story, every silly dance, every shared meal. They gathered strength, pouring their memories into a brilliant sphere of light. It swelled around them, pushing against the shadows that twisted and screeched. Maria concentrated, heart racing as she felt the warmth burgeon, cutting through the encroaching gloom.
"We are family. And we are unbreakable."
The darkness screamed, pleading and furious as the collective light enveloped them. But then, the laughter of the shadow woman bellowed, slashing through the air.
"You think this is strength? I will consume your light. I will feast on your terror."
The shadows roared back with violent force, an explosion of black that sought to snuff out their hope. The light flickered, and doubt crept in again, but Maria steadied herself. Every heartbeat echoed with the shared love around her. They couldn't surrender. Then, with one final surge, Maria rallied her strength and screamed, "Keep holding on.
We won. Let go." And just as the darkness threatened to suffocate them, an element snapped.
A crack appeared in the swirling shadows above. A sliver of light broke through, but what lay beyond was filled with an overwhelming sense of dread.
"What is that?"
Sophia gasped as they clung to each other. "I don't know," Maria whispered, panic igniting as the darkness pulsed with unexpected energy.
"But it can't be good."
A dreadful moan echoed from the crack, pulling them closer to its shadowy depths. Were they in control of the light, or was it merely a gateway to an even darker fate? The choice lay ahead, but with every second, the walls of reality warped and twisted, threatening to swallow them whole. What would they discover if they ventured into the light?
Or would the shadows claim them once more, dragging them into a new nightmare? "Mommy, I don't like it."
Sophia tightened her grip, her small body trembling against Maria's side. "Neither do I, but we need to be brave," Maria responded, her heart thudding loud enough that she feared the shadows might hear it. The crack of light above pulsated, casting grotesque silhouettes on the walls, a dance of terror and anticipation. The shadow woman's laughter twisted through the air like barbed wire.
"You're curious, aren't you? What lies beyond? A taste of freedom, or perhaps your end?" "Shut up!"
Javier shouted, defiance flaring in his eyes. His small voice cracked like a whip, hanging bravely in the air. Maria felt a surge of pride but quickly masked it with urgency. "We can't let her words get to us." She stepped forward, pulling her children closer into a protective circle. The radiant light crackled as the shadows closed in, making the air electric with danger. "Whatever happens, don't look back," Maria instructed. She could feel hesitation gnawing at her gut, but they were in this storm together. One step at a time, she beckoned. On the count of 3, 1, 2. Before she could finish, the shadows lunged, swirling and grasping. Their hands clawed at the light surrounding them, trying to snuff it out.
"No!"
Maria screamed, feeling the chill grasp her ankles.
"Mommy!"
Both children yelled, their eyes wide with terror.
"Hold on!"
Maria felt herself being pulled, an icy grip seeking to drag her into that endless abyss of despair. They surged forward together, the warmth of their memories flickering bravely against the cold ambush of despair. With one last heave, they pushed through the crack of light and fell. A time twisted and stuttered. Darkness closed in around them like a suffocating blanket. The world flipped, and suddenly they were tumbling through a void, weightless. Maria felt her stomach drop. Then, a blinding flash enveloped them, the sensation of stillness slammed into them, riveted as their surroundings transformed. They landed hard against a frozen ground, a chilling landscape stretching before them. A desolate world of eternal twilight, where shadows lurked around every corner, and a sickly sweet scent hung in the air. "What is this place?" Sophia whispered, fear creeping into her voice. Maria's breath caught in her throat as she scanned the horizon.
A dilapidated chapel loomed in the distance, its structure twisted and haunted. Dark vines strangled the stone facade, and the bell tower jutted into the darkening sky like a broken arm. "I don't know, but we have to stay together," Maria urged, her voice trembling as they struggled to rise. "We need to find a way out." As they took tentative steps towards the chapel, a whisper swirled around them, seductive and vile, winding itself into their thoughts. "You'll never leave. Surrender to me." Javier shuddered, clinging to Sofia. "It's just a creepy wind, right?" Maria wanted to believe him. "Yeah, just stay close." But the fear in her heart felt like a blast furnace, heating her blood and pulsing through her veins. They approached the chapel door, standing just slightly ajar. A murky light spilled out, revealing silhouettes within, their movements jerky and unnatural. It was almost like they were waiting. "What should we do?" Sofia asked, her voice barely a whisper now. "Go inside or run?" Maria's fingers brushed the doorframe. "Just a small push." She cringed at the thought. "What if it's a trap?" Javier posed, the fear in his eyes making Maria's heart ache, yet that beckoning glow tugged at something deep inside her. The shadows loomed closer, dark wings unfurling silently behind them. "Listen," she urged, hearing a faint melody drift from within, discordant yet captivating. "Maybe there is something in there, something that can help us. Maybe it's a trap." Sofia whined, but her eyes betrayed her curiosity as she peered into the abyss of light. Maria hesitated. The weight of her decision dragged heavy in her chest. The shadows gathered, their whispers turning into a maddening chorus. Against her better judgment, Maria pushed the door open wider, but what awaited them inside? Was it salvation or doom? As they stepped through the threshold, the shrill cries of the shadows echoed behind them. The door slammed shut, locking them in or maybe locking them out. And in that moment, as Maria faced the unknown, dread coiled tighter around her heart, whispering terrors of what lay ahead. "Whatever is in there, we can face it together," she murmured, bracing herself for the truth waiting in the dark. But would they emerge intact, or join the cacophony of shadows that hungered for souls? The moment they stepped inside the chapel, the world outside faded away, enveloped by a shroud of encroaching darkness and the smell of decay. The flickering light danced around them like shadows poised to strike. This was not a sanctuary, it felt more like a trap. Maria grasped Javier and Sofia tightly, heart racing as she scanned the room, absorbing the sickly glow. Rows of crooked pews stood at awkward angles, and ahead lay the altar, an ominous slab marked with cryptic symbols and the remnants of what looked like dried blood. What had happened here? A whisper laced through the stillness, curling around them like a vine. "You've come to seek salvation, but could it be a curse?" It was the shadow woman's voice, echoing through the chapel, slipping past Maria's defenses, wrapping around her like a heavy fog. "No!" Maria shouted, forcing herself to stand tall. "You don't own us." But as the words left her lips, dilapidated figures began to emerge from the darkness, spirits bound to the chapel, eyes hollow and lifeless, their frozen faces twisted in anguish. They were like echoes of a forgotten past, caught between anguish and lingering hope. "Your fear binds us to this place," the shadow woman cooed from the shadows, her voice sultry yet commanding. "You are already a part of this realm, dear Maria. Embrace it." Javier shivered, pulling closer to Sofia, and Maria could feel their trembles. The weight of dread hung heavy around them, but more than fear, she felt the love between them pulsing like a beacon. "We are family," she asserted, the determination in her voice shining amidst the gloom. "And we'll fight together." Maria glanced around, trying to find something, anything that might help them escape. It was then that she noticed something glimmering at the foot of the altar, a small, intricately carved dagger resting there, its blade shimmering with a faint glow. "Stay close," she instructed, motioning for her children to remain behind her as she moved cautiously forward. The spirits shifted restlessly, their hollow eyes following her every move, the whispers intensifying. "Mommy, what if she gets us?" Sofia whimpered, clutching her brother's hand tighter. "Look at me," Maria said, her voice even despite the trembling in her heart. "We're going to get through this together. I promise." Reaching for the dagger, she felt a surge of warmth pulse through her hand as she grasped it.
Holding it aloft, the blade caught the light, reflecting not just illumination but energy, something primordial and powerful. The room responded, shadows recoiling slightly as she plunged the dagger into the altar, the sound echoing throughout the chapel, shaking the very foundations of the tension erupted as if a balloon had burst, and the spirits began to writhe, trapped in a dance of anguish. "What have you done?" The shadow woman's voice screamed around them, a frantic wind swirling through the dilapidated chapel. "I've claimed my power," Maria shouted back, feeling her heart synchronize with that energy coursing through them, stronger together, bolstered by the love they shared. "You will not take my children." With that, she turned to her children, grabbing their hands. As they combined their strength, the dagger resonated, illuminating the room with a blinding light that engulfed the malevolent figures and shattered the darkened walls around them. The shadows screeched, twisting in agony as the light engulfed them. In that moment, Maria recalled the warmth of laughter, the shared joys of their daily lives, a whirlwind of memories worth fighting for. "We'll burn through this darkness," she yelled, her voice ringing out like a clarion call. As the shadows fractured, a portal opened in the heart of the chapel, a radiant light bursting through like the dawning sun. "Go!" Maria commanded her children, propelling them toward the glowing rip, trusting in that bond. "Run now!" The shadow woman lingered behind, rage and sorrow mingled in her eyes. "You will not escape so easily," she screeched, but the light pushed forward, scattering her whispers into nothingness. Maria leaped into the light, her heart pounding as she pulled her children close, feeling their warmth collide with hers. Together, they surged through the portal, the shadows clawing at their heels desperately, but the light consumed it all in a glorious eruption of hope. They tumbled through, landing on solid ground, bright, sun-drenched earth as if reborn into a new world. As they scrambled to their feet, Maria looked around, breathless and free. The sky was blue, the air crisp with a sweet newness. Javier and Sofia burst into laughter, a victorious chorus that filled Maria's heart to the brim with joy. She hugged them tightly, tears of relief spilling down her cheeks. They had escaped, pushed back the shadows, and reclaimed their lives. But the lingering murmurs of their past echoed faintly. It was a reminder that shadows could return. "We beat the dark," Maria whispered, "but we must always be aware." "Yes, Mommy," Sofia replied cheerfully, "we'll always stay together." And as they walked home, hand in hand, the sun bright against their skin, Maria felt a newfound light within her. No matter the shadows that might loom ahead, together they would face it all unbreakable, as a family. And now, listen up. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel right now so you don't miss any future exclusive stories. Hit that like button now to feed the algorithm and show your love. And don't just stop there, flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this thrilling conclusion. This is the moment to show your support. Share this video with at least 5 friends who absolutely need to see this conclusion. Don't wait even one more second. Your support makes all the difference.